guys. Never said he didn't care deeply for his community. I believe he cares for his community. I just don't think he's a very good councilman at this moment. Things could change. He was instrumental in the creation of the annual Cloud Park Cleanup Initiative. I searched the Cloud Park Cleanup Facebook page. That's the only place I know where they discuss it at. And I had a hard time identifying Mr. Hill on there anywhere. If he was instrumental, wouldn't he have been on there somewhere? I don't know. That's a thought I have. There was a lot of different posts about other council members, just not Mr. Hill. And a supporter of recent Community Shred Day. A supporter of Community Shred Day. Okay. It's a great thing, actually. I'm glad they do the Shred Day. It helps the residents protect their identity. That's huge. I applaud his family values and dedication to his church. Additionally, it's nice to have a contact when it comes to Girl Scout cookies. Okay. Where in my post did I mention anything about Mr. Hill personally? Never once did I mention that he did not have good family values. I believe he does. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I've seen him out and about. He's a good father. He's a good husband. I believe he's working hard in his church. I respect that. That's not what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. What I am talking about is his job that he's doing on council. Mr. Shaw carries on. As far as his voting methods, I am unable to speak to that. Now, I got to stop, ladies and gentlemen, right there. You sit on the dais with him every council meeting, every work session, and you can't comment on his voting methods? No, you don't want to comment on his voting methods. You can. You don't want to. So that was interesting. And then he says, I am unable to speak to that, okay, about his voting methods. I have not persuaded or horse traded for his vote on any particular item. Now, I don't know where to go with that. First of all, it's not about persuading. That's our job as citizens. We elect council members, okay, to do a certain job. What job is that? To represent us. There are going to be times when you have to persuade these council members to vote in a certain direction. If you don't, they're going to do whatever they want. Things like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, podcasting, op-eds, newspaper articles, citizens' comments. These things persuade, contacting them, emailing them. These things persuade your council members into voting a certain way. And if they don't, guess what? You go to the polls and you vote them out. So that may be good to talk like that if you're a politician, what Mr. Shaw wrote. But if you, in my opinion, be honest. Sometimes being honest means to be blunt. I know. Maybe I've thought about this. Should I change my approach? Is blunt too much? You win? No. Then that's just changing who I am. I am who I am. Like me, love me, hate me. I am who I am. I'm honest. I do my damnedest to walk around with integrity. And I'm a flawed human being as well. Anyway, we all are we not? So Mr. Shaw wrote that, and I write back to him, and I'll read that to you. It said, first of all, I never once mentioned anything about personal character. I haven't. Other than to say Mr. Hill is personally a good person. Can we not differentiate the two? The man, the person, and the councilman. And your voting record. Can we differentiate that too? Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a hard time in this country, in the city of Huber Heights, in the state, discussing politics. and being able to differentiate the sides, being able to separate different issues. Can we not agree with others and at the same time disagree with others? But when they completely disregard everything, then you have to call that out. And it's disappointing. So I'll just read this here. First of all, I never once mentioned anything about personal character. Your comments seem to lead one down that road. I simply said I was disappointed. I also have never horse traded a vote. I've asked for council members to support certain issues. That's our job as citizens. Getting involved, staying involved. Please vote this way. You are the council member. Will you vote this way? I've asked council members to support certain issues, and I have. I trust them, naively it seems, to do what they say. And I go in a lot of times talking with folks. Politicians have a way of being nice and cordial and presentable, those who are elected. So I take that at face value, and I have naively went into that like, oh, okay, well, they're nice to me. We're having a good conversation, good stuff. And then they vote a different way. And you're like, whoa, what happened? I thought everything, no, it's different. And I ended it with, you're really unable to speak on the voting record. And I just talked about that, ladies and gentlemen. They can talk about the voting record. Everyone up there, if those council members cannot speak on their colleagues' voting record, then they're not paying attention. There's something that I've always found interesting. There's a poem that I've always found interesting. It was by a pastor, Martin Niemöller. He writes, "First they come for the communist, and I did not speak out, because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me." That's why I do this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, because if we don't speak out, who will? If we don't talk about what is going on and bring truth to that, at least our truth, what we believe, who will? We have to stand up to government, ladies and gentlemen, or they will harness that power for their own agenda, for their own power, for their own ego. We have to let them know they are the servants. We have to speak out about it. We have to talk about it. We have to discuss it. And sometimes we have to be so bold to call out the nice guy politicians when they aren't doing things that they're supposed to be doing, or they promised that they were doing, or what they ran on doing. I've been debating this for a long time. And I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and I don't want to make people upset, but sometimes you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And I make a damn good omelet. Jalapenos and ham and onion. I'll say this. My support for any politician or any elected official is never lost. If they begin to do the right thing, then I stand behind them and I support them. So I don't do these things to say that I'm perfect and you're, no. I do these things, all these things, the Facebook and the podcast and all that, to get people involved. To put government where government needs to be, in check. The people run the show. A lot of them up there on that dais seem to think that they have all the power. They've been given the power by the people. You say you got teachers and all this up there. Take a history class. So we'll end with this. A little history. A history class of our own. Have you guys ever heard of a president of the United States named James Madison? James Madison was the 4th president of the United States. They had an election in 1808. He took office in March of 1809. He was the author of the Federalist Papers, one of the founding fathers, this guy. James Madison. Very, very, very smart man. He was a Federalist. Him and Tommy J. That's what I call Thomas Jefferson, if that's cool. Tommy J. So James Madison writes this: wherever the real power in a government lies, there is the danger of oppression. In our governments, the real power lies in the majority of the community, and the invasion of private rights is chiefly to be apprehended, not from the acts of government contrary to the sense of its constituents, but from acts in which the government is the mere instrument of the major number of the constituents. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a good week. Those are my thoughts for today. I'm sure I'll have more thoughts next time on Truman's Town Hall. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to the podcast, and I will talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to Truman's Town Hall. Share this podcast with your friends and neighbors and subscribe today.